Hello guys, welcome to your lesson. Today we're starting on page 73, okay? Let's start. Let's repeat the new content, okay? Low budget, a role, sake, to supply, supplies, to imply, to impose, to add up, to point out, up to date, visionary, a laboratory, specialist, to specialize, a guinea pig, to nominate, a position, to run a business, leukemia, to bring up, okay? People, you can see that leukemia has two different spellings, okay? The British spelling, the American spelling, but the pronunciation is the same. Okay, low budget, guys, is an adjective, and it's an adjective that we use to describe things that involve a small amount of money, okay? Something that is not very expensive. Okay, a role. A role, guys, has three meanings, okay? A role can be a part that an actor plays in a film or in a theater play, okay? A role is also a socially expected behavior, a social accepted pattern of behavior, okay? Usually determined by individuals' status in a particular society. Okay? Or it can also be a function or a part performed especially in a particular operation or in a particular process. For example, in a negotiation, normally the director of the company has a bigger role than other members of the board, for example. Okay? Okay, sake. Guys, sake can mean, sake can mean three different things, okay? And sake is written the same way, and it's a fourth meaning, okay? Sake, as you can imagine, is the Japanese drink, okay? It's an alcoholic drink made of rice, okay? But the word sake in English can mean help. Example, so, in order to help or to bring advantage to someone. One example, their parents only stayed together for the sake of the children. So they didn't divorce for the sake of the children, okay? For the good of the children. Okay, sake can also mean reason, because of, with the purpose of, okay? Example, you are only arguing for the sake of arguing. So you're just arguing because you like to argue, okay? Or letter C can be, the third meaning, is when we use these words to emphasize requests or orders when you are angry or when you lose your patience, okay? For example, for God's sake, please do that quick, okay? When you lose your patience, you use to emphasize what you want. To supply is the verb supplies, it's in the plural here, is the noun, okay? To supply means to provide something where it's wanted or where it's needed. For example, Sabesp supplies water for the city, okay? Electro supplies electricity for the city, okay? For the population of the city. Supplies as a noun can mean food or other things necessary for living, okay? Supplies can also be an amount of something available. The third meaning is the system used for supplying gas, electricity, etc. So the system is called supply, okay? And the fourth meaning, if something is in short supply, there is little of it available, okay? Next, to imply. To imply, guys, means to communicate an idea or a feeling, but without saying it directly, okay? You use other words, you use figure of speech, so you imply something. To impose, similar to Portuguese, okay? To impose means to officially force a rule, to officially force a punishment, or to force a tax, okay? So it has to be obeyed or received in the case of taxes. To add up. Guys, to add up is a phrasal verb. It means to increase something gradually, okay? Until there is a large amount. To add up can also mean to seem reasonable or to seem likely, to seem probable, okay? For example, Watson, a person, okay, claimed he was at home at the time of the murder. But the police said his story didn't add up. It didn't match. Okay? To add up can also mean to calculate, to add numbers. Okay? To calculate the total of two or more prices, numbers, etc. Okay? To point out. Guys, as you know, to point at is this. I am pointing at you. Okay? To point out is also to point, but for example, imagine there is a picture of 10 people, okay? I want you to know of those people who is my grandfather. So I will point out, not literally, but I will point out that my grandfather is the one using a suit or using a hat, okay? Sorry, wearing a hat, okay? It means, in this sense, it means to direct the attention of the person to one specific point that you want to show, okay? Or it also can mean to mention, okay? To talk about, to mention something that you think it is important. Up to date is an adjective, guys. Up to date is an adjective that means modern, okay? From nowadays, from these days. Recent, or something that contains the last information, the last technology, up to date. Visionary, very similar to Portuguese, okay? We can talk about visionary actually in two different ways. Okay? One of them is a religious point of view. For example, a religious visionary is a person who has a religious or spiritual experience in which they see a holy person who is not living, or they see a holy event that cannot be explained scientifically. So we can refer to that as visionary. Or a visionary is a person, like in Portuguese, a person who is able to imagine the future. Okay? This person can imagine how the future will be, how economics will be, how industry will behave. Okay? A laboratory. Okay, very similar to Portuguese. It's a room or a building, okay, where researchers, normally scientific researchers, do their research. Okay? Their experiments, where they research on chemicals to make new medicine. Okay? A specialist is the noun. To specialize is the verb, just like Portuguese. A guinea pig. A guinea pig, guys, is an animal that is normally used in laboratories to test products in general, okay? It's a small animal. It's covered in fur, like cats. It has round ears, looks like a small mouse, okay? But it's not a mouse. It has short legs. It has no tail, okay? And there are children that like to keep guinea pigs as pets, okay? They're more or less this size when adults, okay? But we can also refer to a person, to a human being. Oh, he is being used as guinea pig. For example, when new medicine is being tested, normally they have human guinea pigs, okay, to test the drug, the new drug or the new product. To nominate. Guys, to nominate is similar to Portuguese, okay? To nominate means to officially suggest someone for an election, for a job, for a position, for an honor, for an award, okay? And to nominate also means to say officially that a film, a song, or a TV program, or a series will be included in a competition for a prize. For example, the Oscars, okay? Before the academics, they vote for the best film, the best director, the best actor, etc. They nominate 5 films, 5 directors, 5 actors for each category, okay? Okay, a position is just like Portuguese. To run a business, guys, means to administrate a business, okay? Not necessarily your business. You can be the manager, so you run the business of somebody else, okay? Leukemia is a disease in the blood, okay? It's a serious disease, actually, the main characteristic is that the blood produces too many white blood cells, okay? And to bring up, guys, to bring up can mean 3 different things. To bring up, it can mean to start to talk about a particular subject or to introduce a particular subject when you are talking to people. To bring up can also mean to vomit, to bring up, you know? Not very pleasant, I know. But to bring up can also mean to raise somebody, okay? To bring children to maturity by caring for them, by giving them education, okay? To raise, to bring up, okay? So, we have a new idiom here, which is very similar to Portuguese. Better late than never. It's better for someone to arrive or do something late than not to arrive or do it at all. Okay? Let's repeat. When you run a low-budget business, you don't need to buy too many expensive supplies. He was a vet and he's specializing in guinea pigs. When the young boy was being brought up in Africa, he had many rules imposed on him. The specialist worked at a laboratory on visionary research in the area of leukemia. Have you made sure the list of supplies for the trip is up to date? I don't want to miss anything. The woman pointed out that her role in the company was incredibly important and that she wanted to be nominated for the new position. It just didn't add up. He thought the woman couldn't have gone to the Maldives when she had said she was going to come to the meeting today. For the sake of her young children, she decided to stay with her husband, even though she didn't love him anymore. This warehouse has supplied the biggest supermarket in the city since 2010. Let's practice. Guys, don't forget to pause the video, okay? What difficulties do you think a person might have when they are running a business? Difficulties that I think a person might have when they are running a business are the relationship between employer and employees. Have you ever had a guinea pig? What do you think you need to take care of one? No, I've never had a guinea pig, but I think you need a clean cage, food, and always clean water for the guinea pig. Can you point out to me who you think the student who studies the most in the class is? Yes, I can point out to you who I think the student who studies the most in this class is. Who normally works in a laboratory doing research? A scientist, normally works in a laboratory doing research. If there was a natural disaster, even if the supplies arrived late, it would be better late than never. Yes, if there was a natural disaster, even if the supplies arrived late, it would be better late than never. Why did Anna decide to go to her grandparents' house for Christmas, despite of the bad weather? Anna decided to go to her grandparents' house for Christmas, despite of the bad weather, because her children really wanted to be with their grandma and grandpa. Would you consider yourself a specialist in a topic? No, I would not consider myself a specialist in a topic. Why was Nelson Mandela nominated as one of the best examples of a visionary leader? Nelson Mandela was nominated as one of the best examples of a visionary leader because he led South Africa from apartheid to a multiracial democracy. Is it difficult to stay up to date with the news nowadays? Why? No, it isn't difficult to stay up to date with the news nowadays because we have the internet, and most of us have internet on our cell phones, so we can check the news anytime. Can you give me an example of a low-budget airline? Yes, I can give you an example of a low-budget airline, but not in Brazil. Virgin Airways. If you had to nominate someone in your family to go on a quiz show where the prize was £1 million, who would you choose and why? If I had to nominate someone in my family to go on a quiz show, where the prize was £1 million, I would choose my father because he's a very intelligent person and he knows a lot about random facts. What supplies might you need to take with you if you were going to climb Mount Everest? The supplies I might need to take with me if I were going to climb Mount Everest are very warm clothing, a tent, and rope, for sure. What did the teacher point out to the student? The teacher pointed out to the student that it was better he gave his homework to her late than never. Who ran the most profitable business in the world in 2019? Amin H. Nasser ran the most profitable business in the world in 2019, Saudi Aramco, a state-owned gas and petrol company. What nationality is famous for being punctual? British people are famous for being punctual. What does the verb to imply mean? The verb to imply means to communicate an idea without saying directly what you mean. Who implied that Peter had put on weight at Christmas? Peter's brother Simon implied that Peter had put on weight at Christmas when he commented that Peter's shirt looked tighter than before. Even though the amount of rubbish that we generate is small individually, do you think when it all adds up, it is a big problem for the environment? Yes, even though the amount of rubbish that we generate is small individually, I think that when it all adds up, it is a big problem for the environment. What role did Giovanna play in the local theater company's production? Giovanna played the role of Cleopatra in the local theater company's production. Is it important to not bring up difficult subjects at a dinner table when we don't know the other guests well? Yes, it's important to not bring up difficult subjects at a dinner table when we don't know the other guests well. Why do some people protest against laboratories operating on guinea pigs? Some people protest against laboratories operating on guinea pigs because they believe it's cruel to test products on animals. If your government imposed a ban on social media, what would you do? If my government imposed a ban on social media, I would... What would you do, guys? I want to know your opinion. If you had a problem with your hearing, would you need to see a specialist or a general doctor? If I had a problem with my hearing, I would need to see a specialist. What supplies do parents have to buy for their children at the beginning of a school year? Parents have to buy pencils, pencil cases, backpacks, notebooks, pens, colored pencils, erasers, scissors for their children at the beginning of a school year. What did Emily say about Joseph buying an up-to-date phone? Emily said it was better late than never about Joseph buying an up-to-date phone. Do you think your current president is a visionary leader? Why? Yes, I think my current president is a visionary leader because... No, I don't think my current president is a visionary leader because... Okay, I want to know what you think, okay? Send the answer on my WhatsApp. Who has to be careful that they don't employ too many people than they can pay on their payroll? A person who runs a business has to be careful that they don't employ too many people that they can pay on their payroll. Very nice, guys. This was today's new content. Okay, please study. On our next live, we'll have a revision. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye.